episode 3 of the Chalk Talk podcast. I am your host, Ken Doolittle, joined always by my friend and resident Packers fan, Mike Burke. Took a couple weeks off here. We haven't been around since week 2. It's because we've been too busy winning some money for everybody out there. But we're coming back. We're coming back to give you guys some winners, talk about some winning strategies. A lot of sports going on right now, too. We got baseball playoffs heating up, NFL season in full swing, even hockey's starting up soon. And, of course,
NBA's right around the corner.
Getting to my favorite sport, the NBA, coming right around the corner. So I can't wait to get into that a little bit today. And moving forward, Burke, we start here, my friend. The Red Sox are alive, and it is October 13th. How do we feel?
We had discussed this offline in the past. We both thought they were a year ahead of schedule and had a tough draw coming into this, facing the two top AL East teams back to back. Obviously, going against the Yankees is always tough with that lineup, but they came out and they shoved. Nasty Nate just being an absolute boss like he was in 2018, propelling them to victory, and then looked ugly to start against the Rays in Game 1 after getting shut out. And we thought,
yeah, but hold up. It's already a win when we've beaten the Yankees, right? We've already won.
That is true, especially all the crap that we get from these Yankee fans and their 27 world championships, but they haven't won one.
They haven't won anything in
13 years. Whatever that may be.
Yeah, and that's what's so weird. If we lost this one, all right, then they have the most recent win, but they've got nothing. We've beaten them every time that we've played, and we've got how many World Series? 3 before they've had one?
Yeah, I forget what the record is, but I think since 04 Game 4, which was the start of the 3-0 comeback, I think the Red Sox, don't quote me on this, they're either 8-1 or 9-1 against the Yankees in the playoffs.
I love it.
And have won every series and have won 4 world championships.
3, right?
No, it's 4. It's 4 in comparison to 104, 07,
4, 7, 13. Oh, and 18. That's right. I forgot. 18. We're winning so many, I can't even keep track anymore.
I know. You were starting to run out of hands here. We're looking like
oh, my God. I can't even count. So that's awesome. And, beating the Rays are a Goliath. So neither of us are really expecting much. We were together during Game 2, and they went down early, and they already lost Game 1. They have no pitching. And we're just like, we're screwed at this point. And we didn't even care. We didn't even care. And then in the blink of an eye, they caught up, and then they never looked back. It was awesome.
Yeah, they have one of the low-key deepest lineups in the league, and they have a coach. They have a coach. They've got a coach who knows how to manage their roster, and credit to their general manager who came over from the Rays. He actually built that Rays roster, and he just takes his team after getting a lot of crap at the trade deadline for not going out to get guys. He ends up getting 2 critical guys that have been absolute lifesavers, one being Kyle Schwarber, who had some home runs in the series. And I like their chances against Houston. I think they have no pressure on them. They're not the favorite. They're the wild card team. So it's not like they're going in with anything. They're playing with house money. And I really, really like their chances to not only advance out of the ALCS, but to also win the whole damn thing.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah, look, the take back, they're 132 to win this series. The Astros are minus 156. So they're slight dogs as expected. Their lineup, like you said, top to bottom, it might be better than the Astros top to bottom. The pitching is what might kill them because they've been kind of patching it together, getting some strong performances from the bullpen. I don't know if that can last. But again, hey, we're, 2 series deep with house money right now. That's not to say I'm not going to root like crazy for them, but, the Sox have already won my heart this series. They made me happy. They made me enjoy baseball again. They're plus 450 to win the World Series. For reference, the Astros are only plus 180. That seems like a bad bet at this point. And the Giants have the longest odds at plus 500. So, and the Dodgers at plus 410. Honestly, whoever you like to get out of that series between the Dodgers and the Giants, they might be good value right now at 4-1 and 5-1, because that probably drops to about 2-1 or plus 225, I think, after whoever wins that series. So there might be some value there right now. Again, I'm not betting against the Sox. But there could be some value there. So any thoughts? You taking anybody to win the series? You already got the Red Sox on a ticket.
Yeah, right? I took the Red Sox in a futures bet around the All-Star break at plus 1,200. So
plus 12. Yeah, they got up to like plus 3,000, I think, too, when they were on their
They
slide there.
struggled in August, and then the whole
Yeah.
COVID hit the entire team, so it didn't look good for a while. But
Yeah.
I'm sitting pretty. I almost decided to cash out because I was getting double my money on the initial investment. But I trust this team, and I want the whole shebang, so I'm going to ride this out to the finish.
That's it. And we're going to talk about this in the NFL, but I play a lot of futures, and they can, be very profitable, or they can really bite you. But, speaking of futures and stuff that we've talked about with the NFL, let's look back a little bit, segueing to NFL Week 5. Week 4 is in the books, just as of 2 days ago, with a kind of an epic Monday night game between the Colts and the Ravens. I don't know how many people actually bet that game. I think a lot of the money was on the Ravens. I saw somewhere that like 80% of public money was on the Ravens to win or cover the 7, in one way or another. So that was a kind of an incredible comeback for the public. But looking back to Week 1, let's go back a full month now, because we've been off a couple weeks. We had some overreactions in Week 1. Some of them were right. Some of them were wrong, as always. The first one that I want to talk about is after Week 1, the Chiefs beat the Browns. So they actually won their opening game. But you and I say, and, we were not the only ones saying the Chiefs were in trouble. And golly, it looks like the Chiefs are in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I've seen this stat, and I wish I knew this the first 4 weeks of the season.
The Chiefs are 1-13. I repeat, 1-13 against the spread their last 14 games. That includes the Super Bowl. I first became aware of this stat 2 weeks before they played the Eagles. So I forget who they lost to. The Chargers, actually. They lost to the Chargers before they played the Eagles, I believe. And the Chargers were plus 6.5. And everybody was on the Chargers 6.5 because that's when this stat came out. At the time, they were 1-10 or whatever. They were 1-11. And the Chargers won that game outright. And then they went and smacked the Eagles the following week. And now they've 2 weeks in a row failed to cover the spread again.
Yeah.
So they're in trouble.
Of course, me thinking, okay, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're just going to do Chiefs things. They're going to find a way to win. And that's why probably my locks are currently 0-6. It's definitely because of the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. And I talked about this too. And for people at home, the old sentiment -3, that's what home teams get in a tight matchup like the Chiefs and the Bills, where the teams are essentially equal on paper. On a neutral field, it's essentially a pick-em game. They're both just as good. The home team typically gets a favor of -3, so they lay a field goal to the opponent. Typically, when you have a team of caliber of the Chiefs, you're going to see -3.5, which is called the hook. You get a hook on a key number, a half point, or you're even going to see -4. This line stayed at -3. It did not move. It actually went to -2.5. I don't know if you saw right after kickoff. It went down to 2.5. And I think I was texting you or Larry, our other friend, or somebody, that after the Chiefs kicked a field goal to go up 3-0, the line went down to 1.5. So the Chiefs were getting no respect in this game. The Bills got all of the sharp money. And yet here I am saying, how am I going to bet against Patrick Mahomes at home in prime time? And they did not only lose and not cover, they got smoked. The Bills embarrassed them on their home field in a primetime game.
Well, there's a couple of factors that are playing into this that I don't think a lot of people – everybody's blown away by the skill position guys with the Chiefs, with Tyreek and Kelsey. CEH has not done much this year, and I think he's banged up.
And now he's on injured reserve for 3
so
weeks.
So he's out for the next few weeks. But, I mean, they have running backs as backups that they can just pile into this offense, and they should be churning out yards and good fantasy options and stuff like that. However, going back to the Super Bowl, when they had to restructure their offensive line after injuries in the AFC Championship game, the Bucs defense exposed that line. They were chasing Mahomes around all game long. And after going into this season, they were, I think it's 3 or 4 starters on that line, either new position or completely new to start with. And when you don't have that cohesiveness and consistency, regardless of your high school, college, professionals, that line's going to get exposed by these defenses because the players are just so talented and the coaching staff drawing up schemes and everything to take advantage of the line. Mahomes is basically running for his life, and eventually that's going to catch up to you. He's not going to be able to make those crazy plays all the time that we're so accustomed to seeing. And right now, they got to start making adjustments. Otherwise, I don't want to say it, but playoffs could be
Well, they're
indefinite.
dicey right now because they're in a tough division. And it's funny you bring up the Super Bowl because watching him on Monday night against that good Bills defense, that's the first thing that came to mind. He's running 10 yards backwards, 10 yards sideways. He's running 30 yards a play just to get the ball off and chuck it into the middle of the field for Travis Kelce, for Tyreek Hill. And it's kind of disappointing that none of those other skill players, the Hardmans, when he had Watkins around, anybody who goes in there just does not develop as a wideout too. Now, I'm going to pull a Kornheiser on you, and let's look at the schedule a little bit, and let's not go into full panic mode quite yet. Here's the Chiefs' upcoming schedule. This week they play Washington. Then they're at the Titans. Then they're home for the Giants, home for the Packers, on the road for the Raiders, back home for the Cowboys, home for Broncos, home for Raiders. That's a stretch where they can probably win 5 or 6 games. Those aren't very tough opponents. I know the Packers have been okay. I don't think they're as great as people may think they are. The Titans really aren't that good. Washington and the Giants should be wins. The Raiders should be an easy win at this point. The only one they're really going to struggle with is the Cowboys. So theoretically, they could have 7 more wins by the time we get to the start of December, and we could be forgetting all of this nonsense at the start because at the end of the day, he still is Pat Mahomes. They still have Andy Reid. Their offense is still performing at a prolific rate. Their defense is just terrible. Everybody knew how bad that offensive line was because we saw it in February in the Super Bowl. Nobody told us how absolutely ass-tastic their defense was. And now we're seeing I whip out the good vocabulary here because I have a significant interest, and let's skip to this right now. We'll get to it when we get to futures. I have a significant financial interest in a Rams-Bills Super Bowl. Those odds were about 60-1 before the season. I don't know what they are now, but I would venture it's significantly less than that. And Monday night did a good for my soul to think that one might come true. So let's see how the Chiefs perform this week against Washington. They're laying 6.5 on the road. But one thing that we've noticed against the spreads in general this season, the good teams and the bad teams are really being separated by Vegas. And this is something that I have looked at. I don't know if you have looked at this as well, but they are moving lines significantly out of the teaser zone. They don't want people teasing these favorites down. So you see a line, and have you seen the lines this week?
I've gone through them, but I haven't looked in detail probably as much as you have.
Do you know the line for the Colts and Texans? It's in Indianapolis, 1 o'clock Sunday. Do you know what that line is? Don't look if you haven't seen it.
I did actually see this one.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I know it's -10 for the Colts.
So it's 10. It's been 9.5, and now I see that it's up to 10, and that's insane. That line should be 7. It should be 6.5, 7.5. It should fluctuate around there. But the truth is, people don't want the Colts being teased, or the books don't want the Colts being teased. So what do? They move it up to 10. That way you can't go through the 3. If you tease it down 6.5 points, you're paying -3.5. And if you tease it down 2-3 with a 7-point teaser, you're paying significant odds on that. That's a heavy vig to lay. So that line has moved significantly. The other one that's a double-digit dog this week is the Rams at the Giants. So the Rams on the road were -10. I now see they're -9.5.
Yep.
But that's another one they don't want to be teased down because the Giants could, in theory, keep that game close. And a lot of people, if that line is 8.5, they're going to tease it down 6 points or 5.5 points or whatever you can do on FanDuel now, whatever you want. And they're going to go to Rams -2.5. And Vegas has adjusted this significantly. I don't know if you play a lot of teasers. I sure do. And I know they're not the smartest play, but that's something I've noticed these weeks.
Yeah, and I know with the injuries from last week with the Giants, at least with Saquon, he's definitely not playing. Daniel Jones, sure. I'm not sure what his questionability is.
He's out. They're both going to be out.
So they got their backup quarterback, backup running back. Rams 9.5 looks very juicy to me. Regardless,
it looks like a good line. It looks like a good line to me as well. The only caveat is it's in New York. So they're telling me that if this was in LA, that's a 13-point spread that they're doing.
Agreed.
That's too high. That's too high. So they're really kind of screwing us in this sense, and they're putting a lot of numbers in that 3.5 to 5.5 range. And what I listen to Bill Simmons on his pod a lot. He calls that the Las Vegas zone, right? Because it's like a dead zone of bets, and it really is. If you have a team +5, +4.5, that's swinging either way. Those are hard lines to judge, and you almost want to take the underdog when you see a situation like that, and you almost want to take them to win, because if you have a 4.5-point dog, a 4-point dog, and you think they're going to cover, they could just as easily win the game outright. So, that's a strategy you might want to look at moving forward. The other thing go ahead.
Yeah, we saw that last week with the Packers and the Bengals. That line was -3, I think, at game time, and it absolutely hit on the numbers.
And that line did not move.
And you think, okay, the Packers are kind of on a roll. The Bengals are young. They're upstart, but they're kind of young. A lot of people want to lean on the favorite there, but you do that, you lose. And it's these lines, at least for the NFL, and I think one of the reasons why I'm struggling with these more than college, it's just they have been so spot on across the board for the first 4 games. Like usually there's like a gap where Vegas just really isn't sure what these teams are going to do. I mean, it's early in the season. You don't know what you're going to get. Sure. But first 4 weeks, they have been locked in and costing me a lot of money, quite frankly.
So the value is not necessarily in the line this year. You're right. They've been pretty good with what these lines should be. And now, like we said, they're inflating the favorites a lot. And just to give an example to everybody, the line is not necessarily indicative of what the final score will be. So let's take a look at this Thursday night line, just to reiterate what Burke's saying, because I do agree that the lines have been right. The Bucs are -7, laying a touchdown on the road at the Eagles. So that's not to say that if the game finishes, 31-24 Bucs, that the line was right at 7 just because it finished on 7. We could have a scenario where the Eagles are down 10 late in the game and they're driving, okay? If they're driving down 10 with 3 minutes to go, that line is perfectly played at 7 because now this game can go on either side of that 7. It could push 7, the Eagles could cover, or the Bucs could win by 17. And that line is spot on because you do not have that line decided until the final minute of the game, right? So even if it ends up Bucs 34, Eagles 21, because of a pick 6 late in the game, that line was absolutely perfect at -7, and that's what it should have been. Now we'll get to that game a little later because there are some plays that I like in that. But you bring up the Packers game against the Bengals. What a disaster for kickers in that game. What a disaster for kickers across the league this year. Kickers, number one, should definitely be banned from fantasy leagues. It's unbelievable that they score points, and it's so random in fantasy games. But in real life, it's crazy the amount that we're letting these guys decide these games. And I understand kicking is a specialized thing, and we've come a long way from the roots of football where the forward pass wasn't even envisioned in the game, right? But, man, these teams are lining up, and you have teams like the Ravens, right, who Tucker is a great kicker, rarely misses. They're in range once they cross the 50. But then you have teams like the Chargers who are just not kicking. They're going for it on 4th and 7. They're going for 2 instead of kicking extra points. I love that style. I love getting away from the kickers. And I think more teams are going to embrace this Chargers Anthony Lynn mindset. What do you think?
I mean, I'm a big fan of kickers. You know that.
You draft them in the 6th round.
I love picking them early in fantasy. I think they're a crucial component of the game. Obviously, there were tough conditions in Cincinnati this week, at least with the Packers and the Bengals. I know there were 4 missed kicks in the final 2.5 minutes or whatever that was, plus overtime, which is for a professional kicker, which is literally all you do is train to kick field goals. You should be able to kick regardless of the weather conditions and figure out how to adjust and make adjustments on kicking the ball to make it angle with the wind or whatnot. I mean, missing 4 kicks combined between 2 guys, it's tough. Maybe it's a fluke week. There's just a ton this week, but I mean,
yeah, but see, the thing is, it's not.
When you're taking a scenario, you got either, it's like, I think it's extra points are now 35-yard field goal, basically equivalent, give or take.
Like that, yeah.
35-yard field goal is not a given all the time.
Well, it should be though if that's your only job, right?
True, but it's not.
It is.
I would much rather take it from the 2-yard line or the 3-yard line and go for 2. These offenses are so dynamic. These players are so athletic. You can come up with a creative scheme to score 2 points every single time.
Well, that's the thing, right? Unless your quarterback is a total liability to your team, which we've reached the point where almost all quarterbacks in the league are at least competent on some level of moving the ball forward 2 yards. Unless your quarterback is a total liability, you got to trust him to get you 2 yards. And you have to have 3 to 4 plays. How many times are you going to score a touchdown a week? 3 to 5, right? Maybe 2 to 5.
Correct.
You have to have 3 plays that you just know are going to get you 2 yards. And even if you only go 50% on the 2 points, you have taken a gamble to get more points that has resulted in no risk to you because you've gotten the same amount as if you made every single extra point. And I think that's the thing that teams have to realize is, especially like we saw it this week with the Lions. I don't know if you watched that Lions-Vikings game. Lions drive down with 30 seconds left in the game. They score a touchdown. They're down 1. The Lions decide to go for 2 instead of kicking the extra point to go to overtime, and they get it. That is a much better play. Now they lost the game because they're the Lions and they gave up a 50-yard field goal, first team ever to lose on 2 back-to-back 50-plus-yard field goals in NFL history, which is crazy. But you have to weigh that versus, okay, let me kick the extra point. Maybe I make it. Maybe I don't now. Now let me go to overtime. Let me see if I win the coin toss. And then, if I don't, let me see if I can stop the – there's too many variables. Go for 2. If you get it, you win. If you miss it, you lose. That's what I like. This year, you're talking about kicking being a fluke. I don't remember who's in last, but there are 5 teams right now that are 70 to 75% on their extra points. 70 to 75%. 5 teams. Last year, the lowest team was 76%. So I know we're only a quarter way through the season. There's a lot of variables to go. But kicking is way, way, way down. And I think, it's fluky in a sense, but it's affecting these lines. The point of this, to get to our, this is a gambling podcast, it's affecting these lines. We see this week the Ravens and the Chargers, the 2 ends of the spectrum there, with the best kicker in the league versus the Chargers who never kick. That line is Ravens -3 at home. A bookmaker that I was listening to this week said without kickers in consideration, that line is 1.5 or 1. So Justin Tucker versus no kicker is worth a 2-point swing. And if you like the Chargers going for 2, then you certainly take them +3 in that spot, right?
I agree. I mean, it's one of those scenarios that Tucker is the most accurate kicker of all time in the league. I believe stats, I think, match up with that too. But
he might be. I'd take Vinatieri, but I got a personal.
The new game right now, go for 2. Put points.
Go for 2.
The
Why
odds
not?
are,
Especially you got Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, right? Go for 2.
The odds are in your favor. You got guys that can catch the ball in the backfield. You can run some fluke nonsense plays like fakes around the end, whatever you want to do. But really, unless you're the Ravens, because Justin Tucker is about as guaranteed a 3 points as you can get, start going for 2.
Yeah. I mean, go for 2.
That's where your weapons are. Utilize.
It's like basketball. It's like basketball, right? The 3s are worth more than 2s, so you get to make less of them and end up with the same result. So I'm definitely in favor of that. Real quick, 2 minutes. Some other news that affects these lines, because we're talking about kicking that affects the lines. Double-digit dogs inflated because they want out of these teases. How about these coaching issues, man? And we're talking off-the-field issues. I don't want to get into them too much, but, Gruden fired or resigned this week. Urban Meyer is definitely next to go. You can bet on these first coach fired things every year. I know some people don't like betting against a man's career, but hey, the money's out there. So a lot of people bet on Urban Meyer. They have to be shell-shocked with this Gruden news because they're going to lose that bet in colossal fashion. Do we factor this stuff into our bets? Because this week, let's look at the Urban Meyer thing, because the Gruden thing kind of happened as the weekend was going and after, but the Urban Meyer thing happened early in the week. They got rocked. I don't think that was a result of this coaching mishap at all. I think they were going to get rocked anyway. But are we looking at this and saying, hey, let's fade the Raiders going forward? Does this affect teams?
At least the way when I look at bets and stuff like that, I do take a lot of outside factors into consideration. This actually helped me win by picking against the Jaguars last week, knowing all the nonsense that went on over the weekend with Urban Meyer and everything with the bar. This is not to foreshadow anything, but this is another reason why I'm hoping to land a win in my locks this week because of this thought process. I am taking the Dolphins -3 against the Jags on the road. But
in London,
a lot of you'd be surprised, even though the players may not make it seem like it impacts them a lot, just seeing it constantly on the TV, it's unneeded attention, and it actually mentally drains you enough to the point where you can't perform to your fullest potential. Even though they may not say it does, it definitely has an impact on the players, the coaching staff. You're just mentally exhausted, which is a part of the game too, because you got to be mentally alert, physically alert, ready to go. It's a combination of things that allow teams to be successful. But if you got outside issues, I'm going to take that into account when I'm making picks, and it's going to happen again this week. The Raiders, I'm not really sure yet. It's a little early on in the process because it was just so all of a sudden. But for the Jags, I think the players have lost trust in Urban, and I am going to be leaning against them to lose and taking the Dolphins, even though I don't think the Dolphins are very good.
Yeah, I mean, I buy it too, to an extent. I think it matters when it happens in the week. And again, not to, certainly make light of either one of these issues. The Gruden thing, obviously, a lot more serious. I don't think that the Jags necessarily, I don't think Urban necessarily lost the respect of all these guys for being videotaped in a bar. But it depends on when it happens in the week, right? Because that Urban thing happened early enough in the week that it now affects their strategy for the game versus something that happens on Friday or Saturday or even Sunday. The strategy has already been implemented. So yeah, emotionally, you're probably right. It does kind of mess with these guys. But as far as the lines, I don't know that it moves them one way or another. But fading both of those teams this week was very successful. They both lost. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. Is it something we can use going forward? Maybe. Sure. Why not?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just took a look at the Raiders line. They're plus 3.5 right now on the road against Denver going into this week.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody's taking the
I
Raiders.
don't. It's tough because I'm not really. I have no feel on Denver and what they can do. The
Yeah.
Raiders, obviously, with all the issues going on, I'm staying away from that game. But I wouldn't be surprised if Denver covers relatively easily, especially at home.
Yeah, it's probably a stay away in that case because there's two scenarios that I could see happening, and either one's probably a toss up to me. I'd believe either if you told me that the Raiders just laid an egg and were emotionally out of it, and just didn't want to play, and the Broncos win by 10, or the other end of it, the Raiders are fired up because now they want to play and perform for their interim coach and show the respect for him, and give the middle finger to Gruden and everything, and maybe they go out there and win the game outright. So it's probably a good stay away for us. But things to look at moving forward as we look at these lines and kind of what they should be. Real quick, let's look at some futures that we have because and when I say we, I mean I am emotionally and financially invested in a Rams Super Bowl right now. They're currently 10-1. The Bills have jumped to the Super Bowl favorite after their smacking of Kansas City. They're plus 550, Bucks plus 600, Chiefs plus 750, Rams 10-1, Ravens 10-1, Packers 12-1. What do you think?
I mean, it seems spot on based on the first 4 weeks. The Bills obviously have gone out. They lost, I believe, their first game at home against the Steelers, but
And they've been lights out ever
obviously
since.
that was a fluke, just like with the Packers getting blown out by the Saints in Jacksonville. Obviously a fluke. These teams are both very, very good. The odds are currently reflective. I think they're a little high on the Bills at the moment. I think we're putting a little too much into the Chiefs. Into consideration. I don't think the Chiefs are as good as we all think they are, and we discussed that earlier with a couple of statistics over the recent run of games. But I think the Rams are probably the favorites just from a combination of offense and defense and who they played. And I know they took it to the Bucks. They beat them straight up, which I think is the best win of the season so far of any of the top teams. Even better than the Bills at Kansas City. I think the Rams taking it to the Super Bowl champs is a big statement. The way the Bucks have been playing on offense and the Rams basically shutting them down and controlling that game from start to finish has more of an impact on me. So I may have to hop on a futures bandwagon with you with the Rams before it gets too late.
Yeah, and they're still 10-1, so that's pretty good value. They were 850 last week, but this Bills win has got everybody else's odds kind of skewed a little bit. No real value in the Bills or Bucks right now, 5-1, 6-1. The Chiefs, if you like them, you never see them above 5 or 6-1, so they're plus 750 right now. So if you do believe in them, now is probably the time to get on this because they're going to win this week at Washington. We went over their schedule; they're probably going to win a couple in a row. So if you like them, now's the time. Chargers 17-1. Can I interest you?
No.
Okay. Next one. Cowboys 13-1.
No.
49ers 40-1.
No.
Wow. Okay. Nose all around, huh?
Where are we at with Cleveland?
Cleveland 14-1. That's too low.
Too low. I would maybe at 25-1 I would consider them, but 14-1. No.
Too low. Cardinals 13-1.
They should be more 20-1. I would consider that, but young quarterback, he's not ready yet.
And see, they're pricing all these because they know people want to bet on the Cardinals because of their hot start. So I think if you like any of those teams, the Cardinals, the Browns, the Chargers, they're going to lose eventually. right?
Well, the Cardinals still have to play the Rams twice, and the Rams are the best
Well,
team.
the Cardinals beat the Rams once.
When did they
right after that Bucks win. It's the Rams' only loss.
Oh, I thought they didn't play it. My bad.
Yeah, it's the Rams' only loss. So they beat them once, so they have a leg up there. But I mean, 13-1, there's no value there. And moving to the MVP odds, there's not a lot of value here either right now. Do you know MVP odds?
I don't. I'm going to take a guess that Josh Allen.
So who's the favorite for MVP?
It's either I'd say it's either Allen, Lamar, or Brady.
Yeah, so Lamar's way down there. Allen's the favorite at plus 450. Then we have Kyler 5-1, Dak and Herbert both 6-1, Brady 8-1, Rodgers 9-1. Lamar's actually 12-1. So there's some value at Lamar right now, 12-1. Josh Allen plus 450, that's just too low. We talked about him before the season though at 13-1, and we're looking pretty good right now. So yep. I hope people jumped on that at 13-1 because that was the right value. Plus 450 is not a good value, and we talk about this every time we talk about MVP futures. This is going to hop around. Kyler is 5-1. He's going to be 15-1, 12-1, probably in 3 weeks. I'm going to say that right now. Kyler Murray is going to be 12-1 for MVP in 3 weeks. Do not take him at 5-1, even if you think he's going to win. Patrick Mahomes, 15-1. We never see that. So if you like the Chiefs coming back, and if you believe the truth that how good their offense has been, and if their defense can show any sort of life, they're going to run the slate. 15-1 is not bad. What say you?
Because obviously we discussed their next string of games. They could easily win 5 of the next 6, and if they do that those odds are going to come way back down. This may be your best chance to get Mahomes at a
This
very
is the
good
best
value.
shot at Mahomes. He could be another one that flip flops with Kyler. He could be 5 or 6-1 in a month. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So keep an eye on those. Matt Stafford 9-1, yes or no?
No, not for him.
Cooper Kupp 100-1.
the cup man.
He's balling.
I know he's balling, but when's the last time a wide receiver won an MVP?
Yeah, it's very, very hard. Very, very hard. Zeke Elliott, 30-1. What is that? 300-1.
Yeah,
plus
I mean,
30,000.
he's gonna be competing against Dak, unfortunately. And if the Cowboys have success, it's gonna be because of Dak and not Zeke.
It's gonna be Dak. Yeah, you're right. Brady's still 8-1. I think we talked about him at 10-1 a couple weeks ago. So maybe some of this value is gone. If I had to bet on one right now, my play's Mahomes at 15-1.
I would agree.
I don't know that he's going to win, but this is the time to take it if you believe in the Chiefs.
I would agree.
So some other futures that we were looking at, and I don't even know if you'd seen this, but FanDuel had a special up last week. Total wins for the AFC South Division, 20.5.
Oh, boy.
For 4 teams. So you look at that and you say, man, that's low. But then you think
who do we got? We got the Titans, the Colts.
So the Jags and the Texans.
Colts, the Jags and the Texans.
You look at the Jags, and they're giving the Jags 2. They're giving the Texans 3. So that's 5. They're giving the Titans, I think, 7. So that's 12. And then the Colts between 8 and 9, and that brings you to 20 and 21. So it's very interesting because that could go under.
Well, I'm playing this in my head. Obviously, these 2 teams are the Titans and the Colts.
The Colts. You need one of them to get to 9.
By far the 2 best teams. So the way I'm thinking about this, and this is why the line is 20.5. Can the Titans and the Colts get to 16 by themselves, and can the Texans and the Jags get to 5?
Yeah, so you need those top 2 to get to 16. And again,
where are they at right now?
That's a good question. Let me check that out. But this is, again, just like one of those, like we have no insight on that. We're not betting any value here. This would just be for fun. So the Titans are 3-2, Texans and Colts 1-4, Jags 0-5.
So they're at 5 between 4 teams, 4 weeks into the season.
And 20.5, yeah. So it adds up. It's a stay away, but for fun, I'm going to say under. Just because.
I'll take the over. We'll do a gentleman's wager.
All right, we'll do a gentleman's wager. We'll check back at the end of the year, see what they get to. 3 odds that I saw this week. Again, another FanDuel special. Give me one word answer to make the playoffs. Who's the best value here? Colts plus 116, Steelers plus 360, Seahawks plus 330.
Seahawks plus 330.
Okay, to miss the playoffs. 3 weeks ago, the Broncos were plus 156. I think now they're plus a lot more to miss the playoffs. I actually like that one. And the only reason I bring this up is because it's one of the reasons that futures can kind of bite you in the butt. Because the Broncos were definitely going to miss the playoffs if the Raiders didn't implode. And then 3 days later, the Raiders have this reason to implode. So, yeah, it was good value for me to find that. But that's the risk of betting futures.
Yeah, the problem with that, though, you still got the Chiefs, obviously not where they're at right now, but I'm still saying they're going to make the playoffs, and the Chargers, I believe, are making the playoffs too, based on what I've seen over the first several weeks. So,
yeah, but you could get 3 teams from that division. You could get 4.
You could. Yeah, nah, you're not going to, in my eyes.
Well, why not? Who else? So the AFC South is only getting 1 team.
AFC South's getting
the AFC North is getting 1 team. Are the Steelers going to make the playoffs? Are the Bengals going to make the playoffs?
I think the Bengals are making the playoffs. Bold prediction.
What are
they at right now to make the playoffs? Well, remember, there's 7.
I don't know their odds.
I forgot there's 7.
There's 7. So you get 2. You get 2 from the North. Okay, that's fine. You get 1 from the South. Then you're saying 2 teams from the East have to make it. The Bills, the Pats aren't making it the way they're looking. The Dolphins and the Jets suck. So you could get 3 AFC West teams. Why not?
Yeah, I guess based on thinking that, you definitely could. You
certainly could. So there's some value there, but it basically went away. All right, on to week 5. Thursday night game. We have the Bucks at the Eagles. The Eagles have looked sneaky good this season. I don't know if a lot of people are looking at that just because their record in their division, but they've been okay. So they're plus 7 at home right now. Total of the game is 52.5. A lot of sharp money's leaning on the over on this. I bet you this gets to 53 or 53.5 by game time. I bet you we also see the Bucks minus 6.5 by game time. I think that goes down to under a touchdown and probably comes right back up to 7. Bucks 0-5-1 their last 6 games against the NFC East. I gander that most of those are without Tom Brady, so I don't know if we care about that. I'm taking the Bucks here, minus 7, and the over of 52.5. There's my leans for Thursday night. 20 seconds, where you at?
I'm depending on where this over-under ends up. If it gets to 53, 54, I'm going to take the under just because it's a short week for the Bucks. They got a very old roster. Just that turnaround time, regardless, as you're getting older, it's tougher and tougher. Eagles are going to play tough on the road. They're at home. But I do think the Bucks can shut down the Eagles' offense.
Yeah.
I just don't think the Eagles can put up big points against very good teams.
Yeah, I don't love the side on this one. I wouldn't fade the Bucks. I'm going to take off my Bucks pick, though, and I'm just going to say play the over 52.5. I think this could get to 60. That Bucks run D is good, but it's too good because nobody tries to run. They all pass, and the Bucks passing defense is not very good. So some props that I like. It's going to be a big Kenneth Gainwell game for a check down back. Like him over 3.5 grabs. That's plus money right now. Quez Watkins over 39.5 receiving yards seems pretty low for their number 2 receiver, basically. And over 52.5. So those are my 3 plays. I'll try to tweet those out before Thursday's game. Burke will give you some picks on the Twitter feed before Thursday as well. Let's get to our locks of week 5. So you want to alternate these? I'll give one, and we can go right down the line. So my first lock, I'm 4-2. Burke 0-6 with his locks. So if you've been fading the big guy, you've been doing well.
And I did tell people episode 1, I'm not ashamed if you fade my picks.
He did say to fade him.
You are 6-0 through two sessions.
He did say to fade him, so you could be 6-0. My first lock, we talked about this earlier, Rams minus 9.5 against the Giants. I just think the Rams might be the best team in the league. The Giants are without their quarterback and their running back. This total could get up pretty high, but I think the Rams, especially coming off an extended week, a big win over the Seahawks, 10 days to prepare. I think McVay gets this team going, especially this offense going. They cover the 9.5 on the road.
Yeah, I know we talked about this earlier with the off-the-field issues, and this is why I'm leaning towards the Dolphins minus 3 at Jacksonville. I just don't think Jacksonville's committed to playing for their coach, and they're 0-5. They haven't really adjusted yet. I know Trevor Lawrence, he's going to do some good things in this league, but he's just not there yet, and he doesn't have the weapons to do it yet. Although the Dolphins are on the road, and I'm taking them.
It's in London.
It's in London, even better. I'm taking the Dolphins on the road across the pond.
I mean, that's basically a home game for the Jags, right? They play there every year. So they are on the road. I don't mind that Dolphins pick, but you're going to have to wake up early to watch it. Number 2 for me, my second lock of the week, under 45.5 in the Packers-Bears game, currently at minus 115. I think that Bears defense is a lot better than people may think, and I don't think the Packers offense is as good as they may think. The line, I think, was 4.5 for the Packers, but I think this game could be pretty close. I think it could be pretty tight. Aaron Jones is set to have a big day against that Bears rush D, but I think they kind of put a ceiling on the Packers offense, kind of eliminate some of those big plays. Rodgers is going to force a lot of those to Adams, as he always does. Usually it works out, but I think the Bears are going to keep him in check at least. I see this being kind of a 21-17 kind of slugfest where the Packers maybe gut it out, but under 45.5, good value there.
This game's in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears always play the Packers tough in Chicago, and I think they'll play inspired.
Sure. Division game. Yep.
True, and I think the Bengals did a good job at neutralizing the Packers offense last week. Obviously, Adams had a field day, but nobody else really stepped up, and quite frankly, nobody has really stepped up alongside Adams. Tanyan's been a disappointment. I picked him on my fantasy team. He's been absolutely awful. Hasn't been what he was last year, and I believe you called that from the get-go that he was going to have a down season from the year before. I wish I believed you.
Thanks for remembering that.
I guess I'm hurting right now at my tight end position for fantasy, but I do like the under in that situation. My second lock of the week is going to be the Panthers +1 at home against, I believe, Minnesota. I really like.
What do you mean you believe? You don't even know who they're playing?
I think it's Minnesota.
He's taking them +1. He doesn't care who they're playing. It's +1.
No, I like
it's
them
Minnesota.
I know the Panthers. They hurt me last week against the Eagles. They had that game in control the whole way and then lost in the final minutes. I think they're a very good defensive team. I think their offense is up and coming with Sam Darnold, and they got a good coaching staff. I don't really like the Vikings that much this year. I ended up getting the Vikings or taking the Browns a couple weeks ago at -1 against the Vikings on the road, and they did me well. So I'm going to pick against the Vikings again this week, even though they're favorites on the road. I think the Panthers get it done at home, but I'm going to take the spread +1.
Yeah, I like that pick too. It's kind of fluctuated. The Panthers actually started minus a point. So I'm taking whoever you get the dog is at game time on that one. If you're giving me Panthers +1.5 or 2, I love it. My third and final lock of the week, we're riding with the Cowboys. This is kind of a square pick. Sharps may be on the other end of this pick, but, Cowboys -3.5. If you're giving me them at 3.5 against anybody, I think the Cowboys are good enough that they should be treated like the Rams at this point in terms of the spread. I know it's in New England, and that's the reason it's only 3.5, but I think that we have good value on this right now. I think it goes up to 4.5, maybe even 5 by the time the game kicks. I love Dallas in this spot. 4:25 kickoff, prime time for Dallas. No reason to stop them from rolling. I know that the Pats just covered the biggest cover of the season against the Bucs pretty easily and almost won outright. Give me Dallas in this spot, -3.5, only -110.
Yeah, my third lock of the week, Cardinals Browns over 49.5.
Love it.
I think this game's going to be a shootout, especially after the Cardinals had a down week last week. The Browns don't have that kind of defense, and obviously we saw that the Chargers they can put up points against the Browns, and I think the Cardinals actually have a more dynamic offense than the Chargers do, and not as great of a defense as the Chargers do. So I think this game is going to be very high scoring. I think they're going to blow right past this 49.5, push 60. Should be an easy. I'm hoping an easy.
Don't jinx yourself, man.
Easy lock.
Giving it the old Chuck Barkley guarantee. I love that pick too. I actually already bet this when it was 49. I love this over. This is a spot where an interesting tactic that I like to do, and me and our pal Nate do this a lot in basketball bets. If we really like a line, we'll adjust it up. So you find a lot of times where you tease lines down to get a better value. I like this game smashing the 49. If I'm willing to put a little conviction into that, maybe I go over 51.5. Maybe I go over 53.5. because if I'm confident that 49 is really good value, you can get some pretty good plus odds going up 3 or 4 points on that. So I like that a lot. So those are our 3 locks each for week 5. I'm on the Rams minus 9.5, under 45.5 in the Packers-Bears game, Cowboys minus 3.5 on the road. Burke 0-6 looking to get on the board. He's taking Dolphins minus 3 in London for the early game. If he loses that one and goes to 0-7 before 1 p.m., we're gonna have to have like a live intervention or something. Panthers +1 against the Vikings, and Cardinals Browns over 49.5. I don't see how that one misses. Guarantee. Let's jinx it.
So that'll be the only one of the 3 that misses.
I'm sure it will be, of course. Moving on real quick to college football. Something happened in FanDuel this weekend that I just want our listeners to be aware of. They do promotions every now and then called Spread the Love. And we were actually out at a bar this Friday explaining this to a couple of our friends. They don't even gamble, but we signed them up for the app and they made a free $25. So they do this Spread the Love thing where they pick a game every week. And usually it's localized. So for us, we got Penn State this week. And what they do is the more people that bet it, the higher the spread gets. So Penn State got to like plus 175 by game time, which means they can win or lose by less than 175 and you win your bet. So it's not even betting. It's a sure thing, and it's just a promotion to get people to sign up for the site. But if you put your money in and you put it on it, you're going to double your money right away. They cap it. Usually it's capped at 50, but now they're getting cheap on us, and they capped it at 25. If they didn't cap it, we would obviously put every penny we have on it because you would be guaranteed to double your net worth overnight, right? But look out for these Spread the Loves. They're right at the top of the homepage when you log on FanDuel. We'll do a good job of trying to promote them because if you only did that, you can make a couple $100 a year with how frequently they do this. They probably do it, I don't know, 6-8 times a year, right? So you could make 50 times 6. You could probably make $300-400 just betting these Spread the Loves, which again are guarantees.
And one thing you forgot to mention to the viewers, even though the spread is going forever in your favor, the odds to win remain constant. So it's usually even money. So regardless of where that spread ends up, and regardless of when you take that bet, because I put my money in at when it was at like plus 97 or whatever it was, I think you got in at plus 65. You get the line where it is at game time. So regardless of when you place it, you get it at 170.5 or wherever it ended up, and your odds to win will always stay even or whatever the promotion is. That doesn't change. So whenever there's free money, I know we were skeptical the first time we saw this promotion come through, but we took it and it hit. And every single time that this,
and it's always going to hit. It's free money.
Take the bet. There's nothing better than free money.
It's literally free money. You could bet this, let it sit in your account. I guarantee you'd make $300, $400 throughout the course of a year just betting these Spread the Love things. You could also make $300 or $400 following Burke's advice from college football this weekend. You're on a little bit of a run there, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with the NFL, but I seem to not be able to get any picks right. But you follow me on Saturdays. I am on a historical run for myself. The last 2 weekends I took 3 weeks ago, I was out in Arizona, couldn't gamble out there through FanDuel yet. So I took a week off of gambling, came back strong 2 weeks ago and ended up going 5-1 on the Saturday slate. And then last weekend, literally took a 14 parlay, all favorites in the 12 o'clock window, hit all 4, was up big, nailed the Spread the Love promotion for easy money, and then landed on Michigan to cover the night. And that game was a lot closer to the spread. That spread was 2.5. Michigan ended up only winning by 3, but I was on the right side of favor. So my last 2 weekends betting college football, I am 11-1. Just last Saturday alone, I'm up 12 units. Looking to carry that into this weekend. So if anybody wants to follow along and ride the ship, I'll try to pick some more winners and keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, and we're going to tweet it out from the Chalk Talk pod too. Burke's going to give you a rundown of his picks. He's up a lot of money this weekend. We are collectively up a lot of money this weekend. I took that Spread the Love, put in 25, turned it into 50, rolled it on a hand of cards on the online casino, caught a blackjack, came out with 125, put it on the Saints. They covered easily. That was my best bet of the week. So I turned that $25 into like 230, 235 pretty quickly. Burke did the same. He won a lot of money. what we're going to finish with tonight is kind of a strategy off that. We want to talk about one or two betting strategies every week. We're going to finish with one today because we're kind of low on time. But we went to the casino again this weekend, and man, we absolutely demolished that casino. We won a lot of money in a very short amount of time, and it would have kept going if this asshat didn't sit down next to us and kind of ruin our mojo. But we were doing well. So a strategy that we want to talk about is doubling down in blackjack. So for those of you that don't know, I mean, I'm sure you know the general rule of blackjack is you try to get as closer to 21 than the dealer without going over. You're going to lose more of those hands than you're going to win in the long stretch, or it could be 50-50. So there's something that you can do called doubling down. Doubling down is you double your bet. So you put your bet out before you get any of your cards. Let's say you bet $25. Then you get your cards. You can now opt when it's your turn to put another $25 chip out there. So now you've bet 50, but you only get to take one more card. You can't keep hitting if you don't have a good one. And if you bust, obviously you lose, but you get one card for double your money. So a good time to do this typically is when you have 10, when you have 11, cards that can get you to 21 on the nose, right, against bad dealer cards. It's a way to make sure, hey, I've just won one hand, but I've won 2 units betting it. So we want to talk about other instances where you should bet because those 10s and 11s are obvious. But Burke, you want to tell them what a soft hand is and when they should double those?
Yeah, so anytime you have an ace with like a 3, an ace with a 4, it turns into 4-14 or 5-15, and this is
whatever number is more in your favor. That's what you get.
Correct. So whatever number, depending on what the dealer is showing, typically, and what I've been doing recently, when the dealer is showing 4, 5, or 6 as the over card, because you always want to assume there's a 10 underneath, and that's how you play the game. I've been doubling on 4, 5, or soft 4, soft 5, soft 14, 15, and 16. It's a free card. If you get a 10, you just hold the value. If you get an ace or a small number, you increase your value. It's a free card, and the chances, even with the 4, 5, 6, that the dealer is going to bust are still pretty good. So instead of just doing the normal 10s or 11s and just doubling on those scenarios, I've started to increase my spread for doubling down, and it's really paid off in the last couple of blackjack outings. And we were on some heater on Friday night. It was Friday. We went on Friday night, not Saturday night. And just me and you were just locked and loaded. We were on the same page with what we were doing, and not even doing the side games, which we hit an incredible amount of matches with the dealer. Just playing the double down cards and knowing the situation, you can really take advantage of it and make some money real quick.
So I have the book here, and I basically know this, unfortunately, by heart. I'm not sure if you know what the book rules are to do, but I'm going to quiz you on these. So again, any hand that's an ace plus another card, obviously ace 10, you get a blackjack, you're paid out automatically. But ace 2 through ace 9, those are all soft, okay? So if you get an ace 4, let's say, that's a 15. But if you pull a 7, which would bust you, you don't bust, you go down to then a 13. Right? You get 1, 5, and 7. So you can't bust on these soft hands. That's why we're doubling them, especially against bad dealer cards, 4, 5, 6, 7. So ace 8 to ace 10, you always stay. Okay, so if you have 19 or 20, you stay. Ace 7, you're actually supposed to double against a 3 through 6.
Interesting.
So that's an 18, but given a 3, 4, 5, 6 from the dealer, you're supposed to double those. We don't do that too much on ace 7. I usually stay, but maybe we should start, especially against a 6. Like we should probably be doubling.
I honestly can't remember the last time I got an ace 7. I don't think any players ever get ace 7 against those kind of cards. Usually it's a 10 against your face, so you can take it anyway. But that might have to be something we have to add to the arsenal for sure.
So ace 6, then you double against the 3 through 6 as well. So soft 17, you double there. Ace 5, you want to take a guess which cards you double that against?
Or was that 6-16?
Yeah.
Is that 2 through 6?
Only 4, 5, 6. You hit on the other ones. You double 4, 5, 6.
Why is it? Why is that different? Why?
Because so a 2 and 3, 2 and 3 up are most likely for the dealer to pull 21 out of their ass. You could build a hand off of 12 or 13. Against a 4, 5, 6, you're much more likely to get it. So ace 5 and ace 4, you double against 4, 5, 6. Ace 2 and ace 3, you actually only double against 5 and 6. So maybe strategies that we should be employing more often. Moral of our story is you always want to double 11. You usually want to double 10. The book says unless against an ace or a 10. You want to double 9 against crappy dealer cards. And then you want to double soft hands whenever you can.
So basically, the higher the soft number that you have, the wider range you can double on. The lower the soft number you have, the less range you have to double
Which
on.
is kind of contrary to what you think, but it makes sense. If you have ace 7 and you pull a 10, you have a strong hand of 18. If you have ace 3 and you pull a 10, now you have a weak hand of 14. So I get the logic.
Makes sense to me too. We're going to definitely
maybe we'll try that. We got a little casino trip planned in a couple of weeks, so we're definitely going to be doubling down a little bit. But hey, that's all we have.
Or we're not going to have enough money to do this podcast anymore, one way or the other. If we lose too much,
no, we're going to have enough money. We're going to keep winning, keep this train going. So again, hey, stay tuned into the Twitter. We've been a little more active on there lately, doing some giveaways. It's literally free money. I'm making these bets with my own money. I'm putting $50 on these stupid parlays. And literally, if they hit, you're going to win $500 to $900. Just go out there and like the tweet or do whatever stupid contest I tell you to do. It's free money.
And share with your friends. I know we're starting to expand the followers, but if you guys got no people that enjoy gambling and want some free tips, be more than happy to bring them along for the ride.
And that's what we're here for. Everything's free. We're not going to charge for picks because we're not sharps. We're office squares, right? We're just doing a little better.
We're amateurs.
We're amateurs, but we're hopefully doing a little better than the average gambler out there. So, hey, go out and win some money. Follow the Twitter. Stay tuned on Thursday for some picks. And until next time, let's go win some money.
Let's nail a lock.